Well, folks, after J.D. Vance killed the Pope and then got memed to hell, and then MAGA quote-unquote Christians celebrated the Pope's passing like the blasphemous Beelzebubs they are, it seems like today, in this breaking and humiliating story, that Pope Francis might have gotten some divine retribution from up on high while humiliating Trump in front of millions of people at his funeral at St. Peter's Basilica today. Now, there were many moments of utter humiliation for Trump, including getting personally called out by a cardinal in front of the entire world, and I have all of that coming up for you. So really quick, if you enjoyed this video and you want to join our resistance here at Really American, then drop a like, subscribe, leave a comment down below, and let's get into it. First thing we have to start with today, was Trump on his way to the Pope's funeral, already humiliating himself by trying to answer this question from a reporter who said, "Why did you feel it was important to go today?" And listen to what Trump had to say.
Why did you feel it was important to go to the Pope's funeral?
I just thought it was out of respect. You know, I won the Catholic vote, and I think it's the first time that ever happened where a Republican won the vote, and I won it by a lot. And, you know, I have a great relationship to the Catholics. Very simple. What do you think of it? But I won the Catholic vote. We got 56% of the vote. I don't know why we didn't get more. Actually, I don't know how they got any. But we did well with the Catholic vote, and my relationship is very good. So therefore, you know, I think it's appropriate.
Wow. I mean, setting aside the fact that he said he's the first Republican to ever win the Catholic vote. Yeah, real grade A brilliance from the genius there who apparently aced his cognitive test. But also, what an absolute slimeball. I mean, it's not like it's surprising or anything, but to make everything about him. Why are you going to the Pope's funeral? Oh, because I won the Catholic vote. Me. It's all about me. He did the same thing when he was going to the Super Bowl, and he had to try and make it about him by announcing the Gulf of America thing. It's so stupid and selfish, and honestly just makes this moment that much more cathartic because of the Cardinal calling out Trump directly in front of so many people. And we will get to that right at the other side of this, but we also have to talk about this breaking moment that just happened where Donald Trump met with President Volodymyr Zelensky. You can see French President Emmanuel Macron there, and they sit down and have a one-on-one meeting. It has not yet been reported what they said, though Ukrainian President Zelensky said it was a good chat. Lots of people have lots of thoughts on this. I'm going to play a clip of CNN explaining a little bit more of it, but people, especially maggots it seems, were just mad in the comments saying Zelensky's not wearing a suit still, or why are they doing this at the Pope's funeral? I have some thoughts on that. Let's give some context first and then we'll talk about that.
Here are images of an event we didn't know was going to happen, a meeting between US President Donald Trump, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, a meeting on the margins of Pope Francis' funeral. They're sitting inside the Vatican, inside St. Peter's Basilica, and joining them there's Emmanuel Macron, the French president, Keir Starmer, the British Prime Minister. Ukrainian officials say the meeting with President Trump was very productive, lasted about 15 minutes, but in one of the images there, Emmanuel Macron has his hand on Volodymyr Zelensky's shoulders. Very powerful image, remembering that just a few months ago, back in February, the last time President Zelensky met President Trump, it was a tempestuous meeting. The US president pressuring to accept peace on terms he didn't want to accept, telling him that he wasn't appreciative enough of the US support. A tempestuous meeting. Zelensky now having the backing of the French president, the British Prime Minister in those talks, and the symbolism writ larger than even just being in the Vatican. While Pope Francis' funeral is being prepared, a pope who wanted peace in Ukraine, who was all about peace in his life, that this meeting should take place, so symbolic.
So look, yeah, honestly, frankly, if this was happening like while the funeral was being prepared, I don't see a problem with that. Like, what, you're not gonna talk to other world leaders that are there? That I think is crazy. Zelensky is dressed fine. Trump was actually the one getting crap for wearing a blue suit, though honestly, I think that's BS anyway. Like, a lot of people were wearing blue suits, but it just goes to show like how these MAGAs will contort anything to try and get mad about something. Curious to know your thoughts on this whole thing as well, because all of these sentiments of what is going on in Ukraine with Russia and the wars and everything were at the very heart of what Trump was getting called out for in this speech. And granted, it wasn't only Trump, right? A lot of his administration, people around the world like Putin, but there's a specific line in here that is a dig right at Trump to his face.
Faced with the raging wars of recent years, with their inhuman horrors and countless deaths and destruction, Pope Francis incessantly raised his voice, imploring peace and calling for reason and inviting honest negotiation to find possible solutions. Because war, as he said, results in the death of people and the destruction of homes, hospitals, and schools. War always leaves the world worse than it was before. It is always a painful and tragic defeat for everyone. Build bridges, not walls, was an exhortation he repeated many times, and his service of faith as successor of the Apostle Peter was always linked to the service of humanity in all its dimensions. Spiritually united with all of Christianity, we are here in large numbers to pray for Pope Francis, that God may welcome him into the immensity of his love. Pope Francis used to conclude his speeches and meetings by saying, "Do not forget to pray for me." Now, dear Pope Francis, we now ask you to pray for us.
Right. Build bridges, not walls. Something Pope Francis said for a long time when he was alive. And while I think that Cardinal speech was incredibly powerful, and I'm so happy it happened in front of all of those people and with Donald Trump right there in the crowd to have to listen, I don't think he's gonna listen. And I also don't know if prayer is enough. I don't mean any offense by that, but I think right now is the time to use our voices, our sovereignty over our own lives, and our power to speak out and to fight back. Prayer can be a supplemental portion of that, but prayer is not going to strike Donald Trump down in the White House, okay? Not that I'm saying that should happen. But the real way that we can fight back right now is through collective action, by supporting independent media like this, and by joining our resistance here at Real American, and help us fight back against exactly what Pope Francis was using his papacy to admonish his entire life. Anyway, thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed seeing Donald Trump get humiliated again on the world stage, by all means, join our resistance. Drop a like on this video. Let me know your thoughts in those comments down below. And if you made it this far, drop a blue heart down there for me. I really appreciate you guys. For Really American, I'm Kenny Hesse. I'll see you all in the next one.